It has been a long 2 days of consideration of these articles, and it is now very late at night. I want the members on both sides of the aisle to think about what has happened over these last 2 days and to search their consciences before we cast our final votes. Therefore, the committee will now stand in recess until tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., at which point I will move to divide the question so that each of us may have the opportunity to cast up or down votes on each of the articles of impeachment, and to let history be our judge. The committee is in recess.
Mr. Chairman, there was no consulting from the minority ranking member on your schedule for tomorrow, in which you just blown up schedules for everyone. You chose not to consult the ranking member on a schedule issue of this magnitude.
So typical.
This is the kangaroo court that we're talking about.
It's more Stalin-esque than
unbelievable.
Not even consult.
Just Stalin-esque. Let's have a dictator. It's good to hear about that.
10 a.m.
Unbelievable.
I think that my expression right now would confirm that. That was the most shot. And then to see them and then the staff and the chairman have no comment and just sort of go, huh? This is the problem. This is why people don't like us. This crap like this is why people are having such a terrible opinion of Congress. What Chairman Nadler just did and his staff and the rest of the majority who sat there quietly and said nothing. This is why they don't like us, because they know it's all about games. They know it's all about these TV screens. It's all about getting at a president because they want the prime time hit. This is Speaker Pelosi and Adam Schiff and the others directing this committee. I don't have a chairman anymore. I guess I just need to go straight to Ms. Pelosi and say, what TV hit does this committee need to do? Because this committee has lost all relevance. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
This is Doug Collins, irate that the vote to approve the 2 articles of impeachment against Trump was postponed until the morning. And I should mention right off the bat that thank goodness we have level-headed people like Doug Collins leading us, and that we didn't get stuck with an emotional woman like Hillary Clinton in Washington. Now, the committee had begun its hearings at 9 a.m. on Thursday, and Nadler's decision to postpone occurred after 11 p.m., over 13 hours later. But the reason that Collins and his fellow Republicans were so infuriated was because Nadler's decision to move the vote robbed them of being able to say that the vote to impeach was some sneaky vote at midnight under the cloak of darkness. I mean, think about it. This is the same party that decried the private witness depositions as secret hearings in the basement of the Capitol. Of course, they weren't secret at all, and members of both parties were able to and did attend those hearings. But the point was, and still is, to frame impeachment as illegitimate as some sneaky process carried out by a few Democrats against the will of the American people. And so when Nadler opted to rob them of being able to make yet another disingenuous claim, they lost their minds. Also, it's especially ironic that the GOP is suddenly so interested in efficiency, considering they've spent days not only condemning Democrats for what they called a rush to impeach, but actually stalling the process at any point possible. In fact, Collins himself issued a point of order within literal seconds of the hearing starting in the Judiciary Committee.
I now call up House Resolution 755, impeaching Donald John Trump, President of the United States, for high crimes and misdemeanors.
Mr. Chairman, I make a point of order.
Gentleman will state his point of order.
Mr. Chairman, I make a point of order against the consideration of this resolution on the grounds that the chairman willfully refused to schedule a properly demanded minority day of hearings pursuant to Clause 2J1 of Rule 11.
We'll entertain that point of order once we've completed calling up the resolution.
Although now, he just can't fathom the idea that the committee doesn't want to take the most historic vote in decades at the tail end of a 13-hour marathon session around midnight. Yeah, no, totally checks out. Here's the thing though, that vote, the vote to impeach a president of the United States, deserves to be held not at the end of a marathon session, but unto itself, when the American people are watching. This is a historic moment, and it should be held out in the open during the day in a direct repudiation to the secret, underhanded, scheming tactics that the Trump administration has been employing that landed them in this mess in the first place. This entire process is about transparency, about exposing the president's outright criminal behavior, and Democrats will be damned if they're going to let Republicans pretend that they're the ones defending transparency. If the GOP actually cared one iota about transparency, they'd have spoken out years ago, the first time that the Trump administration got caught cooperating with a foreign power to interfere in the election. They'd have spoken out when Bill Barr tried to bury the whistleblower complaint that outlined Trump's extortion scheme. They'd have spoken out when Trump admitted that the purpose of the call was to get a foreign country to open an investigation into Joe Biden. They'd have spoken out when he admitted that he wanted China to open a probe into Biden. They'd have spoken out out when Trump got caught hiding the summary of his call with Zelensky in a secure server. They'd have spoken out when he blocked his administration officials from appearing in front of Congress in response to legally binding subpoenas. This isn't about transparency for the GOP, it's about pretending it's about transparency. It is nothing more than cheap political theater on the right. And here's the thing, the 2 articles of impeachment were ultimately voted out of the Judiciary Committee on party lines, as expected. And that's proof that this was always just about complaining for the sake of complaining for the right. This is about throwing a temper tantrum about the process just to have something to whine about because they're so desperate to invalidate everything on Trump's behalf. Time and time again, we've heard process complaints while ignoring the substance of why he's being impeached, when in reality, that's the only thing that matters, that the President of the United States abused the powers that his office afforded him by using congressionally allocated military assistance as a bribe to exact a political favor for the 2020 election. It is as clear a reason to move forward with impeachment as we've ever had, and Republicans know that, which is why they're so desperate to make sure that everyone else doesn't.